busted. And the best part is they didn't even see it coming.
Well, I got to tell you, Maria, I never thought I would make international news for being a Florida man kicked out of a restaurant over my conservative values, but that's exactly what happened. But what happened is some friends of mine, some people that I'm just getting to know that live in my building, invited me off to this Paradise Books and Breads. Never been there, never heard of it. I go in, they're immediately asking me questions.
They didn't even spell paradise right. That should tell you something right off the back that something ain't right there. Hold on. I know that's not important. That's very minuscule, but look, come on now. Paradise, books and bread.
Paradise Books and Breads. Never been there, never heard of it. I go in, they're immediately asking me questions. How do you like working over at Fox News? Are you a conservative? And I say, yes, I am. Actually, I have a book out called Taken for Granted, How Conservatism Can Win Back the Americans Liberalism Have Failed.
That's a long
Get the
time.
book. And we talked about my brother, how he was murdered in Chicago last year in June, last month or yesterday made 7 months since he's been murdered. And a number of other issues like my pro-life stance, about progressive DAs who are exacerbating the crime issue. And the owner comes over to the table and says, I've been listening to your conversation. You are not welcomed here. And I said, oh, wow, did I say something that triggered you? She said, no, we are not politically aligned. I don't feel comfortable.
So what?
You have to leave. I own this place.
Wow.
So I stood up, walked off from the table, shell-shocked, completely shell-shocked, because I've never had that experience before. And I went online and tweeted immediately after, and it got 2.5 million views and went viral. So I am disturbed what I'm seeing from folks, and I think this is a microcosm of what we're seeing across the country.
Well, it is. How many people were you in the group? I mean, were you talking loudly? I mean,
it was a total of 5 of us, including a woman. So, they've made things like, oh yeah, we didn't like what they said about women, and something about eugenics or something like that. And I'm telling them I'm pro-life. Like, what is it that made you feel uncomfortable? I imagine it did, because for some on the left, intolerance has become the norm, not the exception.
Yep.
So they want you to capitulate to all of their views, no matter what it is. But if you say, I believe in God, and I talked about my faith in God while I was there as well, if you say that I'm pro-life, then it's a problem. There's a target on your back. And let alone, don't let you be black and saying these things. You got to go. Because you are now someone who's an enemy to your race. And that's how a lot of these liberal left-leaning people think. It is extraordinarily reprehensible. And I am thankful that since this is all taking place, that they've shut their doors down at least into next month. But I think there should be a real investigation into this, because this shouldn't happen to anyone. And I imagine if I didn't have the platform that I have, if I didn't work at Fox News, no one would know about it, no one would care, and they would get away with this. I imagine how many other restaurants across the country are doing this exact thing.
Without a doubt, man. The owner at least owes him an apology, and America. And I think just to add insult to injury, just because of the hypocrisy that permeates through the skin of these extreme leftists, I think he should sue him. I think he should sue him for discrimination, absolutely, just to teach them a lesson. And I hope also that Governor Ron DeSantis speaks out and condemns this Miami place that couldn't even spell paradise right, so no one else has to experience this level of foolishness. And I can guarantee they don't carry his book. And also, rest in peace to his brother that got murdered in Chicago. I live in Illinois. I know it's not talked about, the black on black crime. They only want to push this false narrative and this rhetoric. And it bit these people in the butt. This restaurant owner that was eavesdropping for no reason, have no business listening in on your customers' conversation. You don't have that right. And just to come over and disagree with him being pro-life, pro blessings and all the beautiful things that new babies bring into this world if they're given the chance to live, or given the chance to, be adopted and taken care of by a responsible, loving family if that mother isn't able to on her own. This man, he is a patriot. He's a soldier, and it came back to bite him because they didn't know that he was a Fox correspondent. They didn't know that he was probably a best-selling author. I haven't read his book. I might have to. Y'all let me know if you've checked it out.
Kaylee McGee-White with the Washington Examiner. I think it's so important what you mentioned, that this is simply a microcosm of a growing trend. You think about a few months ago when a religious group was denied access to a Virginia restaurant simply because it's a Christian organization. And would you say that what you experienced was outright bigotry in this case?
I think it was. I just find it hard to imagine that if I was white and I was saying these things, that they would be so alarmed and put me out. I just can't imagine that. As soon as I started talking about conservatism, the lady who apparently was the owner, because I'm always looking around in my surroundings. I'm always watching my surroundings because I work for Fox and, I'm a well-known person. So I'm always watching in case somebody may be recording me or somebody might be on an attack. And she continued to give me very nasty looks from the moment that I mentioned conservatism.
Wow.
That's not okay.
Mm-hmm. That is not okay.
She went full send, and she didn't even know that he was part of Fox. This is crazy because who knows what's going on out there, not just to black folks, to white folks, to anybody that it's poor entrepreneurship, the fact that you just unveil what you really believe. You can at least go along with it. You can at least let them, pay you money because they're using your service. They're in your establishment. You can at least let them go through that without actually coming out and letting them know right off the bat how you feel. That's just poor entrepreneurship for one, and it's poor personhood. It's poor, civility. That's what it is. And these people, they're becoming frighteningly comfortable with telling others what they're allowed to say and what they're allowed to believe. It just ain't right. It just ain't looking like America anymore. And it takes people like Gianno Caldwell, this young gentleman right here, standing up and standing firm on their values and not folding and speaking out if they're, discriminated against, not just because his pigmentation. That's irrelevant. This ain't the 60s. This ain't the Jim Crow days anymore. Just speaking out because he was wrongly treated as an individual. He's practicing his right to freedom to practice whatever religion he wants, believing in pro-life. I'm pro-life. I'm pro-America. I'm pro-gun. I'm pro all of that. I'm pro-freedom. The beautiful things that our Constitution, our founding fathers gave us the rights to have, our God-given rights to have that free will. You could believe what you want to believe. You could be anti-life. You could be anti-gun, all of that. And I have no right to come out and harm you or judge you or just kick you out just because I disagree with you. We can have a civil discourse. We can have a debate. And I'm still going to love you. I'm still going to pray that you wake up, you have some common sense and some values and human decency. But I'm by no means just going to kick you out because I disagree. It's a beautiful thing in this world when we have differing views and different foundations. I think that's what makes the world go round. Now, will I call you wrong? And I believe wholeheartedly that you are if you don't line up with biblical values. Absolutely. But I'm not going to bash you or treat you as less than a human because you're not. Love thy neighbor as thyself, period.
Hey, Todd?
Yeah. Is there any more group loathed by the far left than a black conservative?
No. And I think Senator Tim Scott said it perfectly. He said that for liberals, black conservative is public enemy number one. You got to keep in mind, without African Americans, Democrats wouldn't be able to win a Democrat primary for president. That's been the case since the 1980s when Jesse Jackson ran for political office. So they need to keep black folks in the fold. They need to continue to say, if you choose to be conservative or support a Republican of any kind, then you are an enemy to your race. And this is so ingrained in the African American community. When I grew up, from my family to my teachers to the people in the community, they all believed one thing about Republicans, which is that they were a racist group of people who didn't care about black people or poor people. Those things are not true. They're asinine, but that is the belief system that continues to this day, and that is how they keep a hold and a lock on black folks voting for Democrats at high rates. It's not okay.
What a terrible story, James.
Yeah, and just it's so disappointing, especially we think of the free state of Florida as maybe being a place you can escape this kind of garbage.
That's right.
I'm wondering about your neighbors. So are they like-minded, or people who disagree with you, and are they tolerating your views or not so much?
We're having a discussion.
Yeah.
Well, interestingly enough, my neighbors were people who I was trying to meet up with for a while. These are very successful people, but they never, in the entire conversation, mentioned anything about their politics. They were just being intellectually curious. Right. They're like, okay, we got this guy here.
Good human being.
He's on TV. He works for Fox News. They were just asking me questions. There was no debate.
Yeah.
They weren't challenging my views. They just listened. And to this day, I don't even know what their politics is today.
Yeah. You can't even have a discussion anymore. Gianno, we're glad you're safe. Thanks very much for walking us through it.
It's people like this that, man, they just keep driving our world down, just keep trying to drive it down into the dumps. And this is just one of the many reasons I can't stand the left. They claim to be so inclusive and tolerant and label conservatives, us, especially Christian folks, as racist. And every chance they get, every opportunity that presents itself, they're quick to bash and belittle and say they're the bad guys, they're the bad girls. But leave it to them to always be the hypocrites and do the exact thing that they point the blame at us for doing. It's crazy. How many times do these people need to hear, if you go woke, you go broke? That's exactly what's going to happen. And how many times do they need to hear that before they just be quiet, shut it down, respect people, disagree, but keep that to yourself and just be nice and just accept that people are allowed to have different opinions and political beliefs? That's okay. Just in case you forgot, remember the great words of our 46th president, Grandpa Joe Biden.
You have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
The party of slavery and true racism way back in the day. The guy, Joe Biden, that, you know, partnered up or was mentored by Robert Byrd, KKK, one of the higher ups in the Ku Klux Klan, if I could pronounce it right. Evil. These people, they're so hypocritical. They're so vile. They're such liars and just deceiving. Don't get on board with this, y'all. A bunch of bull crap. That's what it is. And thank God for this, man. I don't care what color you are. I have black in me, about 20%. I got Native American in me. I got Irish in me. It don't matter what you look like. We are all human beings. We are all part of the one race, the human race, created by God Almighty in his image, started with Adam and Eve. So we got the same ancestors, the same DNA line going way, way back. It's about 7,000 years. So I don't care what pigmentation you got or don't got. I love you. I respect you. You stand up for what you believe is the right way to go. That's why no matter what the situation, what the topic at hand, the bullet point headline, the fad thing to do, it's always best to be kind and courteous no matter who you come in contact with, even if you disagree with their views. Unless they're directly trying to harm you, a child, or someone else, play nice. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Golden rule by the Messiah, Jesus Christ, who took on the cross for all the sin, all the evil in the world. He's perfection. He always will be. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And God don't make mistakes. So, hey, if you ain't following Jesus, if you don't got Jesus and you're not lining up with that, then you ain't got nothing. But I know a lot of these people that disagree with pro-life, that disagree with conservatives, they'll find out the hard way when Jesus comes rolling in on that white horse and the angels gather up all of us that are saved. And I could give a ton of the parables that are in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But just know, if you haven't accepted Christ as Lord and Savior, more importantly, if you haven't repented and asked for forgiveness, hey, when it comes Judgment Day, it's going to be gnashing of teeth and fiery furnace. So you better get it correct. You better put your eggs in the right basket and start walking the righteous path, or it's going to get real hot and toasty. Eternal life or eternal punishment. Which one you want? But that's all I got for today. I don't want to get some of y'all fired. You're watching this on your lunch break or whenever you are. I can go on extended rants and tangents, as many of y'all know, and I don't want to get you in trouble. But either way, I appreciate you for showing up. Don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe if you're not already. Ring the bell just so you can get notified anytime I post a video, just in case YouTube forgets to let you know. If you want to take it a step further, you like what I'm doing over here, you like my perspective on these sort of topics, you can always support the channel by buying awesome shirts like this. America, land of the free, because of the brave. This was made by my lovely wife over in her Etsy store. She also has tumblers now available. She makes these as well. This one says, "Be the light," Matthew 5:14, out of the good book, the Bible, basic instructions before leaving earth, as well as a ton of other designs and options. Y'all go check it out for yourself, as well as all my other stuff down below in the description section. But I'm done ranting. I love y'all. Until next time, Godspeed. I'm gone.